What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? I'm doing well myself. Um, yeah, all right. So a few things we're going to talk about today. We got Tim Walz and his parents' stolen valor. There's been big talks, accusations levied uh by JD Vance, Trump's VIP pick, regarding Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who is now Harris's VIP pick, or not VIP, VP pick. Um, so yeah, let's check it all out. Let's see what's going on. Um, see why JD Vance is calling Tim Walz a stolen valor. We'll look at some of the evidence or stories being said by members of his old unit, and we'll go from there. And then after that, okay, we got Biden, who says there will be, if Trump wins, there will be no peaceful transfer of power. We're gonna go see what he had, what he meant. We got a clip, and if the clip doesn't really sufficiently uh, provide any context or understanding what or Biden may have meant, we'll try and find the full video, but we'll see. And then let's see. After that, we got the Fulton County. There's like news on Fulton County. Mainly the ballots. The ballots were tabulated and counted twice, and we know it was not done accidentally. Apparently, that's just happening. So we'll check that out. And then finally, last but simply not least, a girl proposes to her boyfriend. Is it emasculating? Is it not? Well, let's go. Let's check it out and figure out what the deal is. Oh man, feeling all right today. I've been gone for a little bit. Been busy, so it was funny. I thought I tweeted it out, but I didn't. But I thought I tweeted out something saying, "Hey, I'm not going to stream for the rest of this week or next week, just unless something causes me some interest." But that tweet never came out apparently, or we don't. So, whatever. Anyways, but yeah, I've just been busy lately, so I haven't been able to stream. But I guess I'm just gonna go back in the swing of it full head and not do what I was gonna do. No big deal. All right. So make sure, just a little housekeeping. Make sure you follow me on X at officialwghost. That's the best way to find out when I go live and what I am up to. You could also follow me on Rumble, rumble.com/withghosts. That is the main channel. And then on X, you could also watch me as well if you want to. And then twitch.tv/officialwithghost is the Twitch channel. I do have a YouTube channel, although currently I have a strike, so that's why I'm not streaming on YouTube currently. Apparently, Jubilee does not like it if I reacted to their video. But that is youtube.com/@withghost. I'm assuming that it is because that was the video that got struck. Yeah. So let's get into this. All right. First, but no, let's get into this. What is stolen valor? Don't think a lot of people know what this word means. So let's go over it real quick. All right. So the Stolen Valor Act, signed into law by President George W. Bush on December 20th, 2006, was a U.S. law that broadened the provision of previous U.S. law addressing the unauthorized wear, manufacture, and sale of any military decoration and medals. The law made it a federal misdemeanor to falsely represent oneself as receiving any U.S. military decoration or medal. If convicted, defendants might might have been imprisoned for up to 6 months unless the declaration lied about is the Medal of Honor, in which case imprisonment could have been up to 1 year. In United States versus Alvarez, 2012, uh, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that the Stolen Valor Act was an unconstitutional abridgment of the freedom of speech under the First Amendment, striking down the law in a 6-3 decision. All right. So basically, stolen valor is like, saying that you're in the military and you're not really in the military is what it basically is. The act made it illegal for unauthorized personnel to buy, sell, barter, trade, or manufacture any decorations or blah blah blah. But yeah, stolen valor. I mean, this is the act, but when people use it as a term now, stolen valor, it's mainly when someone reports that they were in the military but weren't actually, and it's actually illegal. Like that's the Stolen Valor Act of 2012. But I also believe that if you receive any like benefits from like report, because if you're in the military you get benefits, okay, you get some sort, you get some benefits, maybe you get some discounts here and there, maybe okay, here we go. Okay, so here's the new act of 2013. This was passed after the Supreme Court struck down the previous one in 2012. Stolen Valor amends the federal criminal code to rewrite provisions relating to fraudulent claims about service to subject to fines and imprisonment for not more than 1 year, or both for an individual with intent to obtain money, property, or other tangible benefits, fraudulently holding himself out to be a recipient of blank. Okay. So now what this means is, so you could say I was in the military and all that, and report yourself to being military, wear a military uniform, all that, say all that stuff. And as long as you don't receive any benefits, because like you can get discounts in the like from stores, or you can get some sort of like you could try and like get money saying, oh, I'm a vet, please give me money, stuff like that. Um and stuff like that. So you get discounts, shit like that. So that's, but yeah, so that's now how people refer to when stolen valor. You falsely claim you got military service, and it turns out you don't. People call it stolen valor, and then you don't really have to worry about any legal trouble unless you start like benefiting from that. So because it's viewing as, I guess, a form of stealing. Because like I said, restaurants will give veterans discounts. They'll in some cases you could get like money, specifically like college tuition, like or help out, stuff like that. There's various ways that you could apparent you could you could benefit from claiming you're a vet without actually being a vet. Basically, so that's what stolen valor is. That's what they're so I think in Tim Walt's case, they're not really stating that well, maybe they are. I don't know. I don't think so though, from what I've looked. But um, I'm thinking on. Tim Waltz is apparently exaggerating his service, which is why people are accusing him of stolen valor. Um, so who's Tim Waltz? Okay, this is the VP pick of Harris. Tim Waltz is an American politician, former school teacher, and retired Army non-commissioned officer who has served as the 41st governor of Minnesota since 2009 and as chair of the Democratic Governors Association since 2023. He is the Democratic Party's nominee for vice president in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. He was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from 07 to 19 and the ranking member of the House Veterans Committee from 17 to 19. All right, so he was born in Nebraska, West Point, Nebraska. And then he joined the Army National Guard, so he was a weekend warrior, and worked in manufacturing. He later graduated from the state Chadron State College in Nebraska before moving to Minnesota in '96. Before running for Congress, he was a high school social studies teacher and a football coach. And he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives for Minnesota's 1st Congressional District in '06, defeating 6th-term Republican incumbent Gil Guttwinch. He was reelected to the House 5 times before being elected governor of Minnesota in '18. He was reelected in 2012, defeating Republican nominee Scott Jensen. During his second gubernatorial term, Walz pushed for and signed a wide range of legislation, including a tax modification, free school meals, bolstering state infrastructure, gun background checks, codifying abortion rights, and free tuition for low-income families. And then on August 6th, Harris announced Walz as her running mate in the 2024 presidential election. Let's see. Okay, so interested in military service. So with his father's encouragement, Walz enlisted in the Army National Guard when he turned 17. His father had served in the Korean War and paid for his education degree with the GI Bill and wanted his son to have the same opportunity. Walz served in the National Guard for 24 years after enlisting in 81 during his military service. He had postings in Arkansas, Texas, the Arctic Circle, New Ulm, Minnesota, and elsewhere. He trained in heavy artillery. During his service, he worked in disasters responding postings following floods and tornadoes and was deployed overseas. In '89, he earned the title of Nebraska Citizen Soldier of the Year. In August of '03, Walz deployed with the Minnesota National Guard to Vicenza, Italy for 9 months to serve with the European Security Force in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. His decorations included the Army Commendation Medal and 2 Army Achievement Medals. He attained the rank of Command Sergeant Major near the end of his service, and briefly was the senior enlisted soldier in the 1st Battalion, 124th Field Artillery Regiment. He retired as commander. He retired as a command sergeant major, and on May 15th of '05, his rank was later changed to master sergeant for retirement benefit purposes, since he did not complete required additional work. So he retired as a master sergeant. They tried he retired as a command sergeant major, but he actually retired as a master sergeant. So there you go. That's basically hold on. So that's basically the gist of Tim Walz. So let's find out what was the reason he apparently left, and why didn't he why didn't he stick with the I don't know. All right, so let's check this out. So this is an article. So this here, let's see, who's this guy? So this is a veteran who served in Tim Walz battalion, addresses stolen valor accusations, far darker than people think. So the stolen valor in this sense is Walz is overstating his record. He's saying he he was in combat. He never was. He was in Afghanistan. He never was. So in this sense, the stolen valor isn't it's not stolen valor as he's falsely claiming to be a military member. He's overstating his record, which is generally another stolen valor. Like if you were like a pogue and just was a desk jockey your entire career, and then later on claimed you were like a Navy SEAL or special forces, that would be considered stolen valor. So a veteran who served with Walz accused him of embellishing his time in the service and abandoning his unit just before they deployed. In an interview Wednesday on the Ingram angle, retired Command Sergeant Major Thomas Behrens, who said he was a member of Walz's battalion, scolded the Minnesota governor for misleading the American public about his military career. His service concluded when he retired from his unit in the Minnesota National Guard right before they deployed to Iraq in 2005, the New York Post reported. The Minnesota National Guard told Fox News Walz's unit was not given deployment orders to Iraq until July, and he had put in his retirement papers in 5 to 7 months prior to his retirement in that May of 2005. Okay. Asked about Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance's accusations that Walz is guilty of stolen valor, the National Guard veteran told Fox News' Laura Ingram that it's far darker than a lot of people think. He used the rank that he never achieved in order to advance his political career. He said, he still says he's retired Command Sergeant Major to this day, and he's not. He uses the rank of others to make it look like he was a better person than he is. Questions emerged about Walz's rhetoric surrounding his time in service after Harris announced him as her running mate on the 24 Democratic ticket. Walz is described as a retired Command Sergeant Major in his governor website biography, and has also claimed he carried a gun in war despite never experiencing active combat. Ingram, however, said the Minnesota National Guard told the Angle he retired as a Master Sergeant. To most people, that would mean he was actually in combat, carrying a weapon in a combat zone and getting combat pay in a dangerous and hostile environment where he is getting shot at, Burns says. I think if he thinks Italy was a combat zone or a war zone, and he was carrying that in war, he's delusional, he added. Kind of like, I think they left out a part. Burns says, said Walz had been promoted to Command Sergeant Major in 2004, but claimed he was required to serve 2 additional years or the promotion would be voided. His early retirement terminated the promotion, reducing his rank to Master Sergeant, Burns said. What he did, basically, was he quit. He didn't complete the conditions of doing 2 years after graduation, so he gets reduced to Master Sergeant, and that's what he is now. That's what he is right now, is a retired Master Sergeant. In a statement to Fox News, Army Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Rossman, Minnesota National Guard Director of Operations, explained Walz's rank at the time of his retirement. He was technically a Command Sergeant Major when he was deployed to Europe with his battalion, but to retire as a Command Sergeant Major, you have to go through a final course, which he had not completed. So, for benefits perspective, the Army retired him as a Master Sergeant, lower in the listed rank, but according to the National Guard records, he was Command Sergeant Major technically when deployed. The lower rank was a result of benefit requirements and a technicality. The campaign issued a statement on the matter. After 24 years of military service, Governor Walz retired in 2005 and ran for Congress, where he chaired Veterans Affairs and was a tireless advocate for our men and women in uniform. And as our Vice President of the United States, he will continue to be a relentless champion for our veterans and military family. The response did not sit well with barons. From what I get from soldiers, that I went to with Iraq, probably 98% of them are completely against his embellished record. Oh, JR123097 says Tim Walz is a weirdo. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Um, okay, don't try to make it look like you're a command sergeant major. Don't try to make it look like you were going to some places that was in support of Operation During Freedom. That's just all embellishment and lies to try and make things look better. It's actually disgusting. Yeah, well, he's a Democrat. What do you expect? Um, so Tom Schilling, who also said he was a member of Walz's battalion, slammed his actions as dishonorable during an interview with Jesse Waters Primetime. I have my stories about what he did in the military when he left us like that. And I was kind of like, "Are you kidding me?" Schill said, recalling his reaction when he heard Harris tapped Walz for her as a running mate. We all did what we were supposed to do. We did the right thing. It's dishonorable what he did, Schilling said. He left somebody else to take over his post. He just ditched us. Walt's team did not immediately respond to requests for comment from the Ingram angle. So there you go. That's the end of it. So here we go. So yeah, so he's a master sergeant. He claimed to be he's a retired command sergeant major. I mean, he was a sergeant major. Okay, he was a command sergeant major. So he was that actually, but it is false to claim that he's a retired sergeant major. And for some people that aren't in the military, probably doesn't matter. But I mean, how long was he a sergeant major? Let's see, deployed a year, so he didn't complete the 2 years. I think somewhere said it when he. So 5 to 7 months prior to his retirement, in that. Really depends, I guess, when he like did he get promoted to a sergeant major when he deployed to when he got sent to Italy. I don't know. Some of that just some of that could depend. It depends on how long he was. Like if he was like a year and a half and then didn't reach those 2 years, I think it's a kind of a bit of a nothing burger. Although he should be accurate, and not claim that he's a retired sergeant major when he's not. Um, let's see. Yeah, because I'm not getting like when he was actually when he attained the rank of sergeant major, because that really depends. Like if he was a sergeant major and it like he became a sergeant major like September of 04, okay, and then retired May 15th of 05, then that's a lot different. But if he got it like because he deployed into Italy in August of 03. If he was a sergeant major, if he got promoted to a sergeant major then, and then was didn't retire until May 15th as a sergeant major, I would say he's that claiming he's a retired sergeant major is one thing, but you can't really deny that he wasn't a sergeant major and didn't put his time in as a sergeant major. I think that really depends on the distinction. Well, that depends on that's what is a distinctive to me. Like I said, if he got promoted in September of 04 as a sergeant major and then retired May 15th, that's not enough time to really give your credit where you're due for a sergeant major. But if he got it like when he deployed to Italy in August of 03 and then May 15th of 05, he retired and then got lowered to a master sergeant for benefits requirements and technicality, I'd say that he gave his, I would say he gave his dues for as a sergeant major, but he still shouldn't call himself a retired sergeant major. So I guess that's all that really depends on me uh, uh, when it comes to that. Um, and then this whole carrying of what because he like when he was like I think when he was rallying against AR-15s and shit like that. He called them weapons of war and things he carried in war. That's a big embellishment there, especially when like he wasn't in a combat zone or a war zone at all. I don't think you're walking around Italy at the base carrying a M16 or an M4. So that's a giant embellishment there. That could be an issue. But again, when it comes to sergeant major, it really depends on when he got promoted. In my view, like if he spent like almost a year and almost 2 years, but then retired like May. Like retired May 15th, like 3 months before he could have actually retired. And I'd say he gave his dues as a sergeant major, even though his benefits don't line that. But he should also not call himself a sergeant major, retired sergeant major. So I guess it just depends. Maybe we'll see that as we go through because I got a lot of clips of this. Because here's the thing: when it comes to a lot of vets, you got to be very accurate with what you're about, or they will flame you. Okay, it's very rude and very dishonest to try and claim you did something when you're not. Veterans have a big issue with that, as they should. Let's see. So let's see. So this is an interview. This is with so this is on the Megyn Kelly. This is the veteran we just read about. So let's listen to what he was. All right. So veteran Tom Behrens, I don't know, replaced Tim Walz on his 05 combat deployment in Iraq. Command Walz quit and never went. To comparison to deserter Bo Berdal says when the U.S. and his troops needed him, he ran. Now, I don't know if that's accurate, and I think it's very unfair to compare him to Bo Berdal. If you guys don't remember, let's check this out. So if you guys don't remember, no, I'm not giving you money. Okay, so Robert Beaudry, Robert Bo Bendrell, Bergdal, I don't fucking know. I can't pronounce half these fuckers' names. Is a former U.S. Army soldier who was held captive from 09 to 14 by the Taliban-aligned Hakidi network in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And he was captured after leaving his post in June 30th of 09. The circumstance under which he went missing and he was captured by the Taliban has since been subject of intense media scrutiny. He was released in May 31st of 2014 as part of a prisoner exchange for 5 high-ranking Taliban members who were being held at the detention center at Guantanamo Bay. He was tried by General Court Martial in charge of desertion and misbehavior before the enemy. And on October 16th of 2017, he entered a guilty plea before a military judge at Fort Bragg. On November 3rd, 2017, he was sentenced by dishonorable discharge, reduced in rank to private, and fined $1,000 per month for his pay for 10 months. With no prison time. The fines and reduction in rank took effect immediately, while the discharge was stayed pending appeals to the Army Court of Criminal Appeals, and later to the Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces, which affirmed the sentence on August 27th, 2020. He then filed in the United States District Court of District Columbia to have a federal judge review his sentence. On July 25th of 23, the judge issued a ruling that voided his 2017 court-martial conviction. I'm sure that has gotten appealed. So basically, he abandoned his unit, and then he got captured, or he deserted his post. He got captured, and then we traded him for 5 Taliban, high-ranking Taliban members. So that's who Bo Bergdahl was. So I don't think it's quite accurate to compare Tim Walz with that. Because God, it's been a while. I don't remember how. Let's see how. Let's see. All right, let's listen to this guy, and we'll go from here.
Warning order was already out. Everybody knew they were going, and
Okay.
I don't know if the warning order was already out.
So when you're in the military and you're about to get deployed, you get a warning order. Basically saying, "Hey, this might be happening." Now that order could be stand down at any point, or it can go through. So that's what a warning order is.
Everybody knew they were going, and I don't know if he's never responded why to anybody really, except that, well, I had to quit to run for Congress, which is a lie, like a lot of the other ones, a lot of the lies he tells. I mean, but he basically said that. But I don't know if he was a coward when he originally did it, or if he felt, well, I'm in over my head. If I go there, I'm going to get people killed, or I'm, maybe deep down he felt I'm incompetent. I mean, you can't talk your way out of somebody shooting at you in a scenario like that. And he's very good at talking and doing that. I mean, I got to give him credit there. He loves hearing himself talk. The Star Tribune reporter I talked to way back when, he actually said, well, isn't that treason? And I said, well, treason is probably one level over and above what he did. I said, because that's selling the country out to another nation. If you're a double agent spy or something, I mean, that's one thing. He is a traitor, because a traitor is basically a person who betrays a country, and that is what he did. And then I got thinking about it, about like this that Bergdahl guy, that because a traitor is a nation.
I gotta see how he made that leap
above what he did. I said, because that's selling your back in a scenario like that. And he's very good at talking and doing that. I mean, I got to give him credit there. He loves hearing himself talk. The Star Tribune reporter I talked to way back when, he actually said, well, isn't that treason? And I said, well, treason.
Okay, now we got a huge chunk that's gotten taken out, so I don't know what he's talking about here.
Is probably one.
I wouldn't equate, even if it's, even what he's saying is true. He knew the warning order was out, and then he put his papers in right after that. I wouldn't call that treason. I wouldn't even call embellishing your record treason either. So I don't know what he's talking about here, because there is a section that's been cut out because they skipped ahead or whatever. Now he's saying he's treasonish, and I don't agree with that. I think we need to be very careful at who we call treason, or call someone who's a traitor. I think it's very important. So I don't know what he's talking about
one
here.
Level over and above what he did. I said, because that's selling the country out to another nation. If you're a double agent spy or something, I mean, that's one thing. He is a traitor, because a traitor is basically a person who betrays a country, and that is.
Well, how did he betray the country? Because he didn't deploy with you guys? I wouldn't call that a betrayal of the country. I wouldn't call that. If he did it within like the system means. I mean, he put in his papers, he retired. It's not a traitor to me. Okay, you may not like it. You may say, hey, you abandoned us when we were just about deployed. You left. Blah 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 blah. You can say all that, and that could be accurate. But I don't think that's traitorous. Okay, traitor is a very serious term that we need to be careful of using.
That is what he did. And then I got thinking about it, about like that Bergdahl guy that just walked away from his unit in after.
But again, that's different. Like, this is two different scenarios here. Bergdahl left while he was deployed. He didn't get permission. Okay, he just left. Okay, he left his post. Walz here, don't know why have to defend a Democratic VP candidate, the Democratic VP candidate. Um, this is what my life is turning to. But Waltz, while you may not like it and may think he abandoned his troops and stuff, it's not the same thing because he put in his retirement papers. It could have been denied, but he put in his papers. They were approved, and then he left. Bergdahl left without permission. Basically, he was absent without leave. He left his post. Not only did he leave his post, he left his post in the middle of the combat zone. These guys were still in Italy, although they were about to be deployed to Iraq. Okay, don't get twisted there. That's correct. But Waltz was in the system and left within the system. Bergdahl didn't. He just left. So it's very unfair and inaccurate to try and compare the two.
Afghanistan, and it was like, that literally is what Tim Walz did. He is a deserter too.
Again, no, he did not. A deserter, if I'm thinking and I think how people generally will think it in the common sense, common vernacular, is someone who just leaves without permission, is especially in the middle of a combat zone. That's a deserter. Someone who puts in his papers, gets it approved by higher ups, and then leaves. I wouldn't categorize that as the same as what people would commonly think of when they think of the word desertion. So I don't think this is accurate. You may not like it, and obviously this guy doesn't like it. But that's not desertion. I'm sorry. It's a very inaccurate, and it's just inaccurate. I don't like it.
It's a different version of it, but a soldier who leaves or runs away from service or duty with the intention of never returning. That is exactly what he did.
Yeah, but again, in the common vernacular, when you do so, like, is every person who retire, every soldier who retires and then die in, are you a deserter, sir? Because you retired? Like, it's not. This is very inaccurate, in my opinion. And it's obviously meant to be inflammatory, but it's dumb. Is he left before he knew we were going to be deployed and he left. Okay, but he did it through, like, the army could have just said, no, you need to deploy here. We need you to do this. They could have done that. They could have denied his retirement. They didn't. They saw, you want to retire. All right, we're going to let you retire. That's what happened there. Okay, so that's a big difference than, this whole deserting. Let's see. All right, so he said, so let's see, JR. I'm just going to call you JR right now. He did it through the correct channels. However, the issue is claiming he was carrying rifles in war, which never happened. And then he says he was in the back with the pack. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like, when he's claiming, apparently, that like when he was rallying against AR-15s and calling them weapons of war and something he carried in combat, that's a bigger issue to me. That's a far bigger issue to me. That's something that we should care about far more than this whole he left prior to being deployed. And you're right. He went through the correct channels, and that's a big difference. And calling him a traitor and deserting, it's obviously an attempt to be inflammatory, and that's a lie too. Okay, now you could feel that way and say, like, I felt like he left us, he deserted us when when we were about to deploy. That'd be like, but obviously he did it through the right channels. But I don't think it's correct to call him a deserter and a traitor. I don't think that's correct. Now, is he a liar? Well, apparently, when he's saying, he's saying that he carried weapons of war in combat when he was never in combat. It's completely different. JR says, can you imagine if JD Vance did something like this? It would be all over the national news. Now, what do you mean, like embellish his record or lie about carrying weapons? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Or left through? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Okay. So embellish his record? Because I said like 30 things before I saw your yes. Okay, yeah, lie about, yeah. No, definitely. It would be definitely, yeah. So JR says essentially lied about his service. Yes, it would be all over. We all know that Republicans always get held to a higher standard, and they get blasted And then Democrats can do the same thing, and no one gives two shits. We all know this. All right.
No intention.
And JD Vance is doing a good job. Well, I haven't seen JD Vance's attacks yet, but he's calling him. He's calling Walz's out and everything like that. And I'm sure that's going to be a big thing if the VPs debate. Apparently, I don't know if there's going to be any more a debate between the presidential candidates because I don't know. I've seen different things. It seems to be up in the air currently, but we'll see after the convention. But I'm sure Vance is going to hammer. You always hammer on the weaknesses, and when you embellish your record of military service, that's going to be and obvious and the VP pick on the other side was actually deployed and actually was in combat. Yeah, it's gonna be hammered on by his opponent. So it's kind of funny.
Never coming back in the guard or filling out one more day in combat. When he pulled the plug and was gone, he basically said, "Tough crap, United States. I'm getting the heck out of here." And yeah, that's I'm not ashamed to call him a traitor. If you're just lying for political gain or you're lying just because you think that's what the people you're talking to want to hear, that's not good as a leader of a country. I mean, to me, that's just it's undescribable how somebody can do that. As far as the soldiers out there's an awful lot of them that, I mean, before 2000, I had never been to war. I've been overseas training here and there. We were in the Cold War, which technically was a war. We didn't fire a shot, but we built.
Okay. Cold War wasn't really a Cold War. It's called a Cold War because it was mainly through proxies. I don't agree the Cold War was essentially a war. It wasn't, because we never were actually deployed to fight against an enemy. It was, us against the Russians, more covert actions and done through proxies, via Vietnam and the Korean War and stuff like that. So yeah, it wouldn't really call it the Cold War.
Built things up to the point where we broke the Soviet Union without having to be in a hot war with them, which was good. But for somebody to say they've been in war and they're not, that is, like the saying has been, stolen valor. You're basically out there acting like you're something that you're not, and that's not a good thing. That's bold-faced lying.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe.
Oh, I didn't like what I saw. I don't know I don't like cuts and stuff like that. All right, so here's more. I'm gonna see if he has anything more to say, if it's the same guff. It's the same guy, I believe.
He's back again to wage a public war of words against Tim Walz.
He abandoned us. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that? I mean, he just, as soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran.
Okay, now you could say that. I don't think that's incorrect, saying, "Hey, you abandoned us." Okay, I think that's an accurate statement. Again, this whole "you're a traitor," you're blah 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 blah. All right, cool, that's bullshit. But if you're saying, "Hey, he abandoned us," we got the warning order, and then he retired. He put in his papers and retired. Yeah, absolutely. All right, you can say he's abandoned us, no problem there.
The other way and hung his hat up and quit.
We'll get to Barron's new message for voters in a moment. But this all starts years earlier, when Barron says Walz's misleading statements about his military service first led him to come forward in the fall of 2018.
So you try to get this message out, but Minnesota's largest newspaper checks it out, says it's 100% true, but yet refuses to print.
When I hung the phone up, I said, "What the hell is this, North Korea?"
Back in 2005, a warning order went out to the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery to mobilize for a mission to Iraq. At the time, Walz served as the unit's highest non-commissioned officer, but months later, Walz would retire from the Guard, avoid the deployment, and run for Congress. Tom Behrens was next in line for the position and was asked to take his place.
I was like, well, for Pete's sake, if this guy quit, if I say I'm not going to do it, I mean, what the hell kind of leadership is that? If a company would say that we're going to deploy to Iraq or somewhere and you're going to be gone for whatever amount of time, and then a foreman just says, no, I'm not going. I mean, what does that say to the 500 people that work in that factory?
Behrens would go on to serve in Iraq on a nearly 2-year deployment as a command sergeant major. All while Walz began using that title as a congressman. Behrens says he first contacted Walz with his concerns, sending these letters to Washington. They all went unanswered.
But then we fast forward to the election in 2018 in Minnesota, and you try at that time to get people's attention with this story and also with what seems to be a very misleading statement that he continued to make about his service.
It kind of just sat there, when he was a congressman, he bragged that he was a command sergeant, retired command sergeant major. I'm the highest ranking person ever in the House, and all this lie.
Yeah, for those who don't know, sergeant major, especially command sergeant major, is the highest ranking enlisted military rank. Highest enlisted military rank.
That he was telling. The state of Minnesota came out after 2018, after this was exposed, and they said, well, he can say that he served as a command sergeant major, but he can't say he's a retired one because he's not.
And that's what he was saying.
And he was saying that, and there was lots of public,
Yeah, see, that's a bit of an embellishment. All right. Again, it really depends on how long he was the sergeant. Like that's the thing for me. I think he should always look, I served as a sergeant major, but I retired as a master sergeant. But it really depends. I think he should strictly stick with that. But the level of sergeant majorness he was, they went to Italy in 2003 and then he retired in 2005. If he was a sergeant major by 2003, okay, and then retired May of 2005, then it's I think it's not a huge issue to be I served as a sergeant major and basically almost retired as one, but then quite. And then it would be if he got promoted in September of 2004 and then retired in May of 2005. Be different to me. I don't know.
Lots of cards coming in the mail, for him to be elected. They said right on there he's a retired command sergeant major, just tooting his own horn, just hanging on the coattails of people that actually are command sergeant majors that went through all the process and put all the time in.
A spokesperson for the Minnesota National Guard said Walz wasn't able to retire as a command sergeant major since he failed to complete coursework and requirements related to the rank. Verified documents show the Army corrected his service record. Walz was reduced in rank to an E8 Master Sergeant after retirement and his conditional promotion. Alpha News again asked Governor Walz if he's using the Command Sergeant Major rank on his campaign website for political gain.
All right, let me just make this clear. He's absolutely using the Command Sergeant Major rank for political purposes. Look, he's absolutely doing it. Bing. There you go.
This year. A spokesperson said this has been in the news before and pointed us to a past story where Walz said, quote, normally this type of partisan political attack only comes from one who's never worn a uniform.
It's stolen valor is really what it is. I don't know of anybody else that's done.
I don't think that's accurate. Again, to me, it would depend on how long he was in that rank. Okay? If you're going to label it stolen valor, I think it requires... I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I'm trying to think of this, and I don't know. I don't know if it's would reach the rank, would reach the term stolen valor. Did I serve? I did. I didn't serve for very long. It's an embarrassment how little I served. So I don't talk about it. But I was in the Army. So like I said, I don't know if it really reaches that in the I don't think it reaches that stolen valorness. In my personal opinion, and maybe other people. Yeah, you could. JR says any amount of service is still service. Yeah, you could say that, but I don't use it. I don't talk about it that much because it wasn't long enough for me to feel proud about it or anything like that. So it just helps with some of this knowledge here that I have about it. But anyways, back to getting distracted. But I don't know if this reaches the level of stolen valor. Again, I guess for me it really depends on how long he was that command sergeant major. like I said, if he when they deployed to Italy, he was a sergeant major. If he was a sergeant major in August of 03 when he went to Italy, and then retired May 15th of 05, he was like 3 months away of being able to retire as a sergeant major. I don't think that quite, like, is it dishonest of saying you're retired as a sergeant major? Yeah, but I think you still get the flowers, as they say, for being a sergeant major for the year and was it 9 months you were a sergeant major, although you shouldn't be calling yourself a retired one. But again, if he was promoted in September of 03 and then or 04 and then retired May 15th of 05, then that's a little different. So I guess it just depends how long he was the sergeant major. In my opinion, if you're going to call it stolen valor, that's how it really, that's where it weighs for me. It depends on how long he was. Like if he was a year plus as a sergeant major, I think he still shouldn't call himself a sergeant major or retired one, but I don't think it reaches that level of stolen valorness. That's just me. Maybe other people have other opinions of that, but I think for me personally, if you're going to call it stolen valor, he'd have to have less than a month in the actual, or less than a year in the rank to really cross that threshold to me.
What he's done. But we called it the truth about Tim Walz.
In 2018, Barron's gave the story the full court press.
We, retired command sergeant majors of the Minnesota National Guard, feel it is our duty and responsibility to bring forth the truth as we know it concerning his service record. I put together information on it and I sent it out to every single radio station and newspaper. And
see, and that's another thing for me with this guy is he's not really saying, oh, he became a sergeant major at this point and then retired at this point. I think, I don't know. To me, again, that just matters. I'd like to see Waltz's DD-214 and see what that exactly says.
TV station I could in the state. The bottom line in all of this is gut-wrenching and sad to explain. When the nation called, he quit.
Twin Cities TV stations and the Star Tribune were silent.
There's nothing, I think that's an accurate statement. It's like, when he called, he quit. That's fine. Because, it depends on when he got the warning order, of course. But I'm sure he got it plenty in advance, according to this guy. And then he put in his retirement papers. So, yeah, I don't think that's incorrect to say that he abandoned us. He left us. Again, when you reach I don't know who Don Shipley is. I guess I'll check him out, see what he says. Or maybe I have seen him. Who knows? There's a lot of those guys who like go out and do the stolen valor people, which is hilarious to watch. I think I know who you're talking about then. Yeah, he calls out phony Navy SEALs. I think I've seen this. Is he the guy is he the guy who, like, I'm trying to think. Like, there's one guy. Let me see. Let me just Google this guy real quick, and he might be the same guy I'm thinking of. Because I remember seeing a bunch of those videos. And oh yeah, I think this is the guy I'm thinking of. Oh yeah. I've seen Don Shipley. Yeah. That guy's awesome. I love that guy. I remember one video where he's calling out a black guy who was claiming to be a SEAL and all that stuff. And yeah, enjoy chatting with you too. And I appreciate the follow. Shout out to you, JR123097. Yeah, Don. I remember one where he's confronting a black guy, and this guy with a big old cigar is like, check it out, just check it out. And then like the next day, Don Shipley goes to the guy's place of work, and the dude has a completely different attitude, and it was hilarious. All right.
Even after Barron says the newspaper checked it all out. The Star Tribune endorsed Walz in 2018 for governor.
I don't know.
Between lockdowns, riots, unchecked crime, and a charred police precinct, Barron's felt he had no choice but again to come forward.
Allowing that to be burned down was just like having the Alamo get burned down. It's like, no, you defend that to the last man. If he would have went to Iraq, he'd still be hiding under his desk over there, because that's just the cowardice that I seen portrayed with him.
So how about when he also comes out and he calls you guys 19-year-old cooks?
I'd take any 19-year-old cook before I'd go to war with him. I don't know how he could even utter such a statement. I mean, it's just absolutely sad.
So this election year, it's all built up again to Barron's new grain bin message.
He called Jacob Fry an abject failure. So I was like, that's what he is.
Walz is a traitor, also made a return.
And the last one I put together, he said it himself too, as well. If they don't like my job, they can vote me out. So I wrote, we got to vote him out. We need to vote him out.
All right. Let's see. All right. So now we're going to check out J.D. Vance's response to all this. Let's listen to this here.
Sir.
CBS Detroit. Last night, Governor Walz suggested that because of your Ivy League education and your Silicon backing your political career, that you yourself are part of the elite. What are your first impressions of them trying to frame you this way to the American public?
Well, look, I came from a family where nobody in my family had ever gone to law school. I grew up in a poor family. The fact that Tim Walz wants to turn it into a bad thing, that I actually worked myself through college, through law school, and made something myself, to me, that's the American dream. And if Tim Walz wants to insult it, I think that's frankly pretty bizarre. Now, look, what really bothers me about Tim Walz, it's not even the positions that he's taken, though certainly he has been a far left radical. You know what really bothers me about Tim Walz as a Marine who served his country in uniform? When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful to prepare your unit to go to Iraq, to make a promise that you're going to follow through, and then to drop out right before you actually have to go. I also think it's dishonest. Something, again, if you guys ever get an opportunity to ask Tim Walz or Kamala Harris some questions, he made this interesting comment that the Kamala Harris campaign put out there, and I bet they're regretting they put it out there now, because he said that and he was making a point about gun control. He said we shouldn't allow weapons that I used in war to be on America's streets. Well, I wonder, Tim Walz, when were you?
See, that's a big issue for Walz. That's a big lie. See, that's a big lie. Saying I used these weapons of war. So it's a big old lie. That's a big issue. Like you could probably get around the whole retiring as a sergeant major, calling himself retired sergeant major, master sergeant. You probably get around that, and all that. You could probably get around that. But this whole weapons of war, we shouldn't let people use these weapons of war that they used in war. Yeah, you're gonna have a little issues there.
You ever in war? When was this? What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit right before they went to Iraq, and he has not spent a day in a combat zone? What bothers me about Tim Walz is the stolen valor garbage. Do not pretend to be something that you're not. And if he wants to criticize,
I think that's a better statement for stolen valor. Trying to say that, I went to war, and so we shouldn't give weapons of war to civilians and stuff. The same weapon. I think that would be a better case for accusing someone of stolen valor more than this sergeant major nonsense. I think that's a better case for it, based on the information I have currently.
as me for getting an Ivy League education. I'm proud of the fact that my mamaw supported me, that I was able to make something of myself. I'd be ashamed if I was him and I lied about my military service like he did.
Yeah. I think JJ Vance is on point with his arguments. I don't, he's not really going off, at least in this particular interview. Okay, he's not going after this, master sergeant, sergeant major. Again, it just depends. I don't have enough information on this, like when he was promoted to that rank, how long he served in that rank. Did he just not get it due to a technicality? Like what is this thing here? But I think Vance's attack, at least in this, saying, "Oh, you're claiming you had these weapons of war and you used them in war, but you never been to war." I think that's a better case for stolen valor, and it's a better line of attack than this retirement stuff, because most people aren't gonna. really understand the difference here. Hold on. Okay. All right. All right. Now here is another thing. Now, apparently, Waltz's staff falsely claimed he served in Afghanistan. So let's listen to this one here.
My name is Dave Phil. This is Travis Quinlan. We're both constituents and Iraq war vets. We're hoping to talk to someone about a photograph I have of Congressman Walz.
Okay.
Not sure if you have ever seen this picture before. Okay. Well, in it depicts 2004 Afghanistan veteran.
Right.
Congressman Walz is not an Afghanistan war veteran, is he?
He served in Italy as part of Operation Enduring Freedom.
Okay, but he didn't serve in.
See, that's a big distinguish. Okay, being in Italy during Operation Enduring Freedom doesn't mean you served in Afghanistan. Serving, it means he served in Italy. Okay, if you served in Afghanistan, that means you served in Afghanistan, not you served in Italy during Operation Enduring Freedom, so therefore you served in Afghanistan. That's not accurate at all.
In Afghanistan, did he?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Hi, Rick. I'm Dave Phil. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
There's a young lady in the other office that was helping us, but if you can,
You guys want to come in and have a seat?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am Dave Phil. This is Travis Quinlan. We're both constituents and we're both Iraq war vets. We served together with the Minnesota National Guard. So we're here on a veteran-related issue. I don't know if you are familiar with this picture at all. This was taken in 2004 here in Mankato, and it's actually been posted on the internet for quite some time, and nobody quite realized what it is. But in this picture, Congressman Walz here is holding a sign that says "Enduring Freedom Veterans for Care." So tell me what your understanding of his military background is.
Yeah, I understand that he was called up in support of it. Obviously, in support of that operation. That's how I've always understood it. And so the time that he, when he got called up, I guess I've always referred to it as, he was called up and served in support of Operation Enduring Freedom.
Okay, so is there any question in your mind what Enduring Freedom is?
No.
Okay, so I guess most people, and yourself included, would associate Enduring Freedom with Afghanistan.
Right, but
Okay.
I mean, I think it, I also understand that it encompasses a great deal. And there.
Well, Operation Enduring Freedom is limited to Afghanistan and the airspace directly above. There's other units that are called up in support of, and I'm sure that's probably what his military orders said.
Right.
My concern, other than this picture, is that the congressman's website, his official biography, says simply that he was mobilized with his battalion in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, without any other details. Don't you think it's reasonable? People might assume that means he served in Afghanistan.
Perhaps, I guess.
Okay, so it's been 5 years now, or I guess almost 5 years, that the congressman's official biography has said he served in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Isn't it reasonable, if it causes confusion, or it may cause confusion, that somebody may have thought to change that and explain that he served in Italy and not in Afghanistan?
Okay, this is kind of, I don't know, not really. It's a good point, but it's not like it's not something a lot of people are going to be concerned about. I think, it's a good talking point, it's a good argument to make against them. That's about it.
Well, here is Tim Walz, who enlisted when he was 17 years old. He served in the National Guard for 24 years, and I'm not aware of any military service that J.D. Vance has ever served. So let's just make the comparison.
Wait,
there.
hold on.
In the enlisted. Well, here is Tim Walz, who enlisted when he was 17 years old. He served in the National Guard for 24 years, and I'm not aware of any military service that J.D. Vance has ever served.
What the fuck is this? J.D. Vance was a Marine. He was deployed to Iraq. What are you talking about? You don't know any military service that J.D. Vance has served. And even if he hadn't served any didn't do any military service at all, okay, even if he didn't, doesn't defeat his fucking point. Like, this is a dumb attack.
So let's just make the comparison there. And what happened in the tragedy of the killing of George Marines, Floyd and then the unrest. Yeah, okay, pardon me for that.
What a dumb idiot. How are you going to be like going on and saying, well, I'm not aware of any service, that military service that J.D. Vance has done. He was a Marine. Not only was he a Marine, he was like an active duty Marine, not a National Guard weekend warrior type situation. So it's a bit of a difference there. Okay. And also he actually served in combat, unlike the guy you're talking about, Tim Walz. What a dumb idiot. This chick just went on national news and made herself look like an idiot. All right, that's the end of the whole J.D. Vance, or not J.D. Vance, Tim Walz and all that stuff. We're done there. We're done. Now we're going to move on. Let's check this out. So now Biden is talking, I think one would call it insurrectionist rhetoric at this point. Let's listen in.
Are you confident that there will be a peaceful transfer of power in January 2025?
If Trump wins, no, I'm not confident at all. I mean, if Trump loses, I'm not confident at all.
What?
He means what he says. We don't take him seriously.
Okay, hold on. The fuck is he saying?
Peaceful transfer of power in January 2020. Are you confident that there will be a peaceful transfer of power in January 2025?
If Trump wins, no, I'm not confident at all. I mean, if Trump loses, I'm not confident at all.
Man, is this guy's stroke getting even worse?
He means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it. All the stuff about if we lose, there'll be a bloodbath. Have to be a stolen election. Look what they're trying to do now in the local election districts where people count the votes. They're putting people in place in states that
to ensure the vote is fair and accurate.
They're going to count the votes, right?
Are you?
And okay. So this title is a little inaccurate. He did say it first wins, but he corrected himself. I mean, if Trump loses. And then also Raskin warned about civil war conditions if Trump wins. So the Democrats are threatening if Trump wins, they're going to try and use the 14th Amendment to prevent him from actually getting in. So that's what that's going on. And then Biden here can't speak for shit, apparently. But man, he's dude, that guy's getting worse and worse. All right. But it's interesting. Like, they keep trying to do this rhetoric. Oh, if Trump wins, there won't be a peaceful transfer of power. There was last time. Okay. And then it looks like the Democrats are trying to do this whole, we're gonna do the best to what was my point? And it's Democrats who are saying, if Trump wins, we're gonna try and null that vote by using this 14th Amendment that hasn't even worked. He hasn't even been charged with an insurrection, for one. And although you don't need to be charged with one to for the 14th Amendment to apply, they already tried to use this in Colorado and it didn't fucking work. What are you talking about? All right, moving on. So here we go. This just happened the other day with Fulton County, and it looks like there were some duplications done when scanning ballots. Let's listen to this guy.
Georgia owes President Donald J. Trump an apology. President Trump has been indicted by Fulton County. May I remind you that Fulton County has been found to be in violation of election law, not once for the hand audit, but twice for the machine count. And now we can prove that they had intentional human intervention, which is the predicate for election fraud. You all know our case is SEB 2023, thank you, -25. In that case, you know that it involved 17,852 votes counted without ballot images. You also know that for the first machine count, 20,713 ballots were counted with what I like to call receipts. I guess the fancy word is tabulator tapes. And I always like to say you can't get out of Walmart these days without showing your receipt, but for some reason you can count 20,000 votes without a receipt. The last part of this complaint perhaps is the most concerning because we've uncovered some recent information that makes it so. In addition to proving that 3,930 ballots were scanned and counted. I want to say that again, and counted. And I sure hope that Miss Charlene McGowan is listening. Miss McGowan, on May 7th, you and your team got up before the board and said, yeah, I think Mr. Rossi's right. These ballots were scanned twice, but we're not sure if they were counted twice. That is a lie. And we know that because the data that shows they're counted twice is on the cast vote records, and that is available to the Secretary.
All right. So basically, like, this guy takes forever to speak. Goddamn. So basically, what happened? Fulton County has been found to be in violation on multiple occasions. Almost 18,000 votes counted with no ballot images. Almost 21,000 original votes from tabulator out of thin air, and then almost 4,000 duplicates counted and inserted via intentional human intervention. Okay, so and then Trump lost Georgia by almost 13,000 votes. I mean, now there's nothing here. Like for instance, there's nothing here saying that all these votes were for Biden and all these votes here were for Biden. So there's nothing saying that all the votes counted with no images, because we can't know. Or were for Biden, unless those almost 18,000 and almost 21 were they're strictly votes that came out for Biden. Okay. Now these duplicates could also be there could have been duplicates for Biden and for Trump. It really depends. There's going to be some more information. But if let's say that this one here and this one here, all those votes, the 18 and 21 thousand votes went in favor of Biden, then yeah, absolutely, it looks like some issues here. Fulton County's already been exposed to having some issues when it comes to their votes and stuff. Fulton County, if you remember, is where Trump is having to deal with an election fraud case that has been basically suspended indefinitely while they figure out whether Willis is able to actually be the prosecutor in that. It's funny as hell. So Fulton County just keeps getting L after L after L. All right, let's get out of here. All right, so let's just last but simply not least, we're getting done with all the politics and stuff. Okay, done with the politics. I know we're all tired of the politics. Okay, got too much politicking going on. So let's go with something else, something different. All right, let's talk about men and women. Now, the question is, all right, if you're a man and your girl proposed to you, would that be emasculating? Let's check this video out.
These athletes are asking for your support. Simon Banks of Germany in 6th position. Let's go.
So this woman here proposed to her boyfriend. What's going on here? So there you go. So the question is, all right, so this guy asked a question. If your girl proposed to you, especially during the Olympics, you're cooked. There's nothing more emasculating than a woman proposing. So there we go. What do you think? Is it emasculating? I personally do. I think it's emasculating as fuck. And it's funny to look at some of the comments here, okay? You're dating an Olympic athlete. I don't know why you think maintaining masculinity should be a thing when the entire premise of their job is to outperform you physically. Well, it's very inaccurate because she's a woman competing in a woman sport. like it's not the peak. Okay, this isn't the peak physical performance. All right, maybe she outperforms him physically, maybe not. I don't know what her just because a woman's an Olympic athlete doesn't actually necessarily mean that she's outperforming men physically. Because if she was competing against men, wouldn't really be up there at all. Wouldn't come close to winning a medal. Remember, Serena Williams is the top female tennis player, and she lost to a low-ranking hungover dude. So that's what are you talking about? All right, this person here caring about someone else's marriage proposal is a feminine trait. No, it's not. Let's see. No offense, man, but if Buddy pulled an Olympic athlete and she proposed to him, yeah, good on him. No, it may not be traditional, which is better, but it's not like it's some random chick or anything. This is an accomplished woman most men can't pull, again, proposing to him. It's very wildly inaccurate, all right? A woman's accomplishments is not important for a man, okay? It's not important for our attraction level for a woman. Just because she's done shit doesn't really mean shit. How does her being an Olympic athlete benefit him? Okay? Really just solely benefits her. We don't get status from our women. We get status through ourselves. We have to gain our own status. We don't we're not women, okay? Men aren't women. We don't derive our status from our women. We derive status from accomplishing shit ourselves. So just because, she's an accomplished woman doesn't really mean shit to us, okay? We don't care about an accomplished woman. This is some random chick. Regardless whether it was a random chick or an Olympic athlete, it's still emasculating. Why are you letting a woman fucking propose to you? What is this? Sorry, I'm reading the comments again. But yeah, no, this is absolutely it shows how low we have fallen. Because look, men are the ones that are supposed to give out the relationships, all right? And if that's it's like, I think this is emasculating as hell. Am I just the only one here? Like, you're getting like my wife. I remember my wife. She'll watch TikTok videos, and she was like, there's videos of women proposing to men and shit, and she's like, if I propose to you, would you be offended? But yeah, no, it's the man's job to propose to the woman, okay? Because the reason a man has to propose to a woman is he's the one who's got to give his last name to her. He's not going to take her last name, okay? It's the man's decision to choose this long commitment. It's not the woman's decision to choose. And again, and it's also traditional, and there's all that stuff too. But yeah, it's the man's job to propose. It's what it is. It's saying, I'm choosing you as my wife. I have deemed you worthy of being my wife. Okay. The fact that he's in a relationship already means that she has deemed him worthy of being in a relationship. Okay. Because she said, she wanted to get in that relationship. Now it's his job to determine, I believe that you are worthy of becoming my wife. And that's what the proposal basically signifies. And the fact that she's proposing to him, she's also taking on the masculine role. Okay. She takes on the masculine role. She's the one who's masculine, and she ends up later on resenting him. Okay, I would like to. I wonder like how many like women that propose their man and the relationships actually work out. I think it'd be very few, but I don't know. But that this is the masculine role, is to determine who your wife's going to be, propose to that wife, signifying that you want to marry this person, and such. And that's that's to me, that's the masculine role. And the fact that she's now taking that role and proposing to him, it's very weird, very odd, and it's putting her in the masculine role, which never ends well for the relationship. That's just me, though. Maybe I'm just the kooky, crazy guy. That's just me. What do you guys think? Is it emasculating to have your girl propose to you? I think it is. I really do think it is. What the fuck? Like, my wife proposed to me. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Proposing to me. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Give me a follow. Check me out, tomorrow. I was going to take a break for a bit, but now I'm just get back in the swing of it, and we're going to keep we're going to keep on going. Hopefully there will be some more interesting stuff that goes on. I hope you have a good day. Peace out, and I will see you later. See ya.